How's it going, everybody? Welcome in to another episode of the Mavs Step Back Podcast. I'm your host, Dalton Trigg. I am rejoined by my co-host, Drew Johnson. We've been playing tag these last handful of episodes with life happening, and but the main thing is, we're getting them pushed out there. So, but we're back. We're tag teaming this one. The Mavs are coming off a back-to-back. We'll briefly touch on the first game they played in Miami. They ended up losing 123 to 118 in overtime. It's a game that should have never even gotten to overtime because the Mavs had a 2-point lead with about 5 seconds left. All they had to do was get one stop, and Miami just got a free run to the basket. Jimmy Butler got by P.J. Washington and Derek Lively for an easy dunk, sent it into overtime, and then, the rest is history. Dinwiddie had an awful game. He was 1 of 12. Jason Kidd caught a lot of flack on Mavs Twitter for keeping Dinwiddie in for the entire fourth quarter and the entire overtime period. But, he bounced back in a big way against the Atlanta Hawks tonight. On the second night of a back-to-back, after having that 1 of 12 performance, Spencer Dinwiddie in 36 minutes off the bench in this one against the Hawks tonight, he had 22 points, was a plus 11 on the night, also had 4 assists, 3 rebounds, and shot 6 of 11 overall, hit 4 of his 7 threes. Dinwiddie was amazing. He redeemed himself. You love to see stuff like that. And the Mavs ended up getting a 129 to 119 win over the Atlanta Hawks to improve to 10-8. And, don't look now, DJ. But the Mavs are now 3-1 without Luka, and they were one slip up defensively at the end of that Miami game from being 4-0 without Luka.
It really should be 4-0.
Yeah, it really should be. These guys are playing great, and if Luka can get right physically, and he comes back and can kind of continue to do, this is a good thing for the Mavs, I think, because Luka is getting to sit there and say, hey, I've really got some really good pieces around me. This is what it could be like. And I don't think he'll be forcing things as much when he comes back and he's feeling good physically. So a lot to get into, especially from this Hawks game. We're not going to touch, the Miami stinker is in the past. We won't dwell on that too much. But what were some of your biggest takeaways, or what was the biggest takeaway for you from this Hawks game?
Basically, that whenever Kyrie Irving is assertive in the fourth quarter, good things happen. We saw, and I know we didn't want to touch on the Heat game, but I'm building on a thought here. So, in the Heat game, Kyrie Irving kind of took a back seat late in the game and kind of allowed Dinwiddie to dictate what he was going to do, and that just can't happen. If you're Kyrie Irving, if you're the best player on the floor at that point in time, you have to take charge. And, we talked about Dinwiddie's redemption. I really felt Kyrie Irving kind of redeemed himself tonight, too, by taking over in the fourth quarter and really just putting the stamp on this game. We saw some immediate corrections of things that we saw in the Miami game that were just head scratchers. Dinwiddie was one of them. Kyrie Irving taking over in the fourth was one of them. And I thought that Jaden Hardy played much better today, too.
Absolutely.
But I will say this: if I have one pet peeve that I've been seeing over the past few games that just irks me. We really are not good right now in preventing penetration, and we really have issues in transition defense. We they scored 70 points in the paint today or something astronomical like that.
Right.
And the majority of those were in transition. That can't happen.
Yeah, points in the paint, 76 for the Hawks.
Jesus
the Mavs had 50.
Yeah. I mean, if it weren't for the 3-point shot and Kyrie Irving going freaking bonkers in the fourth, I don't know if we win. Whenever you're giving up that much in the paint, that's a huge issue. And a lot of that was in transition. So we need to address some things defensively. We need to really focus on staying in front of our man, and we need to focus on stopping ball in transition. Otherwise, it's, you're going to have to shoot the way that we shot tonight to be able to win games. I mean, for God's sake, we shot, 45% tonight? So you don't want to have to rely on your jump shooting to win games. You
Yeah.
want something that's much more sustainable and something that's much more consistent. And
Yeah.
it's much more easy to be consistent defensively than it is to be consistent shooting the basketball.
Nearly had a 50-40-90 night shooting the ball for the Mavs. They were exactly 50% from the field, 45.7% from three as a team, and then 86.4% from the free throw line, 19 of 22 on their free throws. So overall, just a fantastic offensive performance all around for the Mavs, considering several things. Not only was it a second night of a back-to-back, it's an especially hard second night of a back-to-back considering that they were in Miami. And we know what happens when teams play in Miami.
Yeah.
And they were down Luka. They were down Quentin Grimes. They were down Derek Lively in the second half due to an illness, and Kyrie Irving was also questionable to play in this game with an illness. Thank goodness he did end up playing because he ended up with 32 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists. He didn't shoot the ball particularly well, 11 of 28 overall, but he turned it on when it mattered most. He had 16 of those 32 points in the fourth quarter
I was
alone.
going to say, what was his percentage in the fourth? He took over in the fourth.
Yeah, I haven't looked at his percentage in the fourth, but I know it was very good.
He turned it on. Some of these guys, they do have an on and off switch they can just get to, and I really think Kyrie Irving is one of those people. I really need him to be more aggressive more often in the fourth quarter because that's whenever he's at his best, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I agree with you. As much as people were upset at Jason Kidd for leaving Dinwiddie in the game as long as he did in that Miami game, and I get it. I mean, Kidd should have probably pulled the rope, sooner. But, some of that falls on Kyrie too. He should have taken over. So, there's a lot of blame to go around for that. But it was a good bounce back win. One note here from Mavs PR. 4 Mavs players scored 20-plus points for the Mavs in tonight's win over the Atlanta Hawks. Kyrie Irving, 32. Jaden Hardy, a season-high 23 points. Spencer Dinwiddie, a season-high 22. And Naji Marshall, who has just been unbelievable here lately with 22 points. And Naji, he was 9 of 12 overall, hit 2 of his 3 threes, had 6 rebounds. He was spectacular. Naji Marshall is one of those guys where he might not even score, or he might only have 1 basket in the first half, and then he can just flip a switch, and there's nothing you can do to stop him. He's just like a bull in a china shop.
I think a lot of that has to do with the type of opportunities that we're able to get him. I think that whenever we're able to get him more opportunities from the corner and just shooting the ball, as well as being able to get catches against closeouts that he can attack and get to the rim and make plays, I think that's whenever he's at his best. So, I really think that Kidd did a much better job specifically in this game of getting Naji Marshall going. And you really just saw that with the offensive possessions that he was able to convert on. The only issue that I had with Naji Marshall this game is I think his turnover total was a little bit high. Let me go look back and look. I remember.
Yeah, he had 4 turnovers, which was second only to Jaden Hardy's 6 turnovers.
That's a problem, and we'll get into that. I don't want to rain on Jaden Hardy's parade too much, but with those 6 turnovers, you pretty much negate half of your 23 points.
Now, to his credit, to Jaden Hardy's credit, he led the Mavs with 3 steals. If you would have told me coming into this game that Jaden Hardy would have more steals than the NBA leader in steals and Dyson Daniels on the Hawks, coming into this game, Dyson Daniels was averaging 3.2 steals per game. If you had told me Hardy was going to outsteal Daniels, I wouldn't have believed you. But it ended up happening. But that cuts down a little bit on that turnover. But, 6 turnovers in 32 minutes, that's not going to cut it. But overall, I mean, Hardy did have a good game. And, look, it's a lot of what we've talked about. He's very up and down. The good is very good, and then sometimes he just gets a little too much dip on his chip. and it ends up looking like a disaster. So, I overall, for a third year player, I think he's done well. He's shown he can step in there and score a bunch and help a shorthanded team go on the road and get a win like the Mavs did tonight. So overall, I give Jaden Hardy a B for tonight. Even with the 6 turnovers, I'll give him a solid B for his performance in this one. I thought, the Mavs wouldn't have won this game without him.
Well, I'm a freaking nerd, and I look at things really hard, like assist to turnover ratio. And, scoring wise, he's great. But my biggest concern, and I've said it before, is whenever you take away the scoring, what does he bring to the table? Tonight, he brought a negative assist to turnover ratio by a wide margin. He had a third of the team's turnovers. So someone like that, if you can play him off ball and make it to where he doesn't have to make too many decisions, he can just be, a shooter. That's one thing. But a guy, Jaden Hardy's, size, usually is going to be a point guard or a shooting guard. You really want to see him able to, make better plays for other people, make people around him better, and not, just be a gun. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right.
He really needs to develop that part of his game, a more cerebral part of his game, and become able to make others better. Because if he doesn't, he's going to be stuck in the same role. I think that's really what's holding him back, is his lack of ability to make others around him better.
And I need to point this out because I know somebody's going to listen to my opening and they're going to point it out for me. But I forgot to mention that Klay Thompson didn't play in this game either.
Yeah, I meant to say something about that.
I listed all the guys that missed because of the, being sick or, Luka being out with his wrist injury, but Klay Thompson's dealing with the plantar fasciitis or something.
It's awful.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
Which literally the only cure for that is rest. Like there's nothing else you can do about it except rest and hope it gets better. So
according to my wife, stretching really helps.
Yeah.
And, the stretching. It sucks. So.
And look, if that's an issue that he's been, because remember when the Mavs got Kyrie season before last at the trade deadline, and they kind of struggled down the stretch of that season. If you remember, Kyrie was dealing with a plantar fasciitis thing that was going on, and it hindered his play. And he missed games because of it too. So, hopefully Klay can get it under control and he'll be 100% going into, the second half of the season and ultimately the playoffs, because that could be a reason for why he struggled a little bit on his jump shooting so far.
Oh, it can affect everything. I mean, I've had it so bad before where I could barely get out of bed in the morning. So it's not fun. It's definitely not fun to play with. And it's unfortunately incredibly common in the sport of basketball because you're constantly transitioning from different surfaces that you're playing on, even just variations in wood, slight variations in like the softness or hardness of wood can really affect that.
Awesome.
So it's not very fun to play with.
Mavs Step Back Podcast, where we talk about the softness and hardness of wood.
Oh, I didn't even pick up. Oh, shit.
Yeah, you missed the pause. Anyway,
what are you doing, man?
That brings us to a good stopping point to pay a few bills and to think about what we've done. And then we'll be back on the other side to talk about some other important stats from this Mavs Hawks game. So stick with us. What's up, y'all? We're taking a quick break to tell you about Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. Want to play Prize Picks alongside Drewski, Joe Budden, and MMA champ Sugar Sean O'Malley? You can now find community plays under the promos tab of the app to view entries from some of the biggest names in the Prize Picks community each week. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code STEPBACK to get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code STEPBACK on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game. All right, so few other notes before we get on to some players that we haven't mentioned yet. But Naji Marshall, it was his third consecutive game scoring at least 20 points. He scored a career high 26 points in that big win over Denver. That was incredible to see. He had a crazy three-pointer in that game, like one-legged fading three from the top of the arc. It was nuts. So Naji Marshall has found his groove. He is an incredible float artist. His floater is unbelievable. He can go off glass with it. He can just, he doesn't have to use glass at all. He's very in control, even if he doesn't look like it. So great stuff from him. Let me see here. PJ Washington is another player I wanted to bring up. Let me see.
It's just solid.
Yeah, very, very good all around. And look, he didn't have a huge scoring game in this one, but he had 11 points, 10 rebounds for his third consecutive game with a double-double. And let's see, Mavs PR said that is a feat that PJ has only done one other time in his career, back in 2021. So he is rebounding the ball at a high rate. He is shooting the ball very well so far to start this season. 47% from the field to start the season, 39% from three, over 90% on his free throws, which is great to see.
Yep.
And he's averaging 17 points and 11.2 rebounds over his last 5 games. Sorry, that was the shooting percentages and his averages over the last 5. Okay. But man, he has been incredible. And the defense is always at a high level, as we know, with PJ. And, there was one play specifically in the fourth quarter where the Mavs, I think they were up by 6 or 7. And, the Hawks were trying to stay attached in the last couple minutes. And Trae Young thought he had a wide open layup. And PJ just came out of nowhere and swatted it off the backboard. And it was funny. It was like a tribute to Dikembe Mutombo, because the Hawks were the late, great Dikembe Mutombo, who, the NBA lost him this year, unfortunately, with his battle with cancer. Well, the Atlanta Hawks were honoring him tonight. They had his silhouette and number and everything on the court. And, man, what a fitting tribute to Dikembe that, that shot got swatted the way it did. And I don't know if PJ should have definitely done the finger wag just to.
I don't know if Atlanta fans would have let him out of that building alive if he did that. But
I get it. I get it. You're the away team, but it would have been it's a great individual tribute to an NBA legend, no matter what team did it. But I understand your sentiment on it.
I'm just telling you, I know how that could be perceived, and it likely would be perceived as disrespectful. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I guess, a little salt in the wound, too. It probably wasn't the right time. But I thought personally that it was a touching tribute to Dikembe. So shout out to PJ
Maybe
Washington.
For us, not them. It wasn't for them. I promise you.
Oh. So overall, the Mavs had 6 players in double figures. We talked about the 4 guys that scored 20 plus, and Kyrie, Naji, Jaden Hardy, and Spencer Dinwiddie. Well, then you had Daniel Gafford off the bench that had 10 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, 2 blocks. Just an animal this season, Daniel Gafford has been.
He's also Mr. Reliable.
Yes, absolutely. And then PJ, obviously, he had his 11 points. Derek Lively probably would have been the Mavs' 7th player to score in double figures if he had played in the second half, but he didn't. Somebody tweeted out during the game, and I couldn't help but laugh. Let me find it here. Let's see. Okay, so this guy Brian I follow on, he's a Mavs fan I follow on X. He said, second night of a back-to-back, the whole team got the shits, and them boys still competing. And I just thought, and we don't know what this illness is, but apparently this illness is something that several players have. So maybe it is a stomach virus going around, that guys are battling through. But I thought that was pretty funny. And he's right, too. If that's the case, it's like you have several guys out, a handful of guys that are playing through, the illness they were questionable with. And then to come out and have that performance on the second night of a back-to-back was pretty awesome.
Where'd them boys eat in Miami?
yeah,
That's the real question.
Yeah, did they get some bad Cuban food or something, or what's going on?
That's what I was going to say. They have, have you ever been to the Miami airport?
I have.
It's like there's so many different types of food in there. I guarantee you they went somewhere and just got a hold of some bad stuff. So,
well, I've been to Miami exactly one time, and I don't remember the place I went to, but it was the best Cuban sandwich I've ever had in my life.
I bet. I bet. I mean, you're getting it from the source pretty much.
If the NBA will ever schedule the Mavs playing in Miami during one of like the holiday break period, like it didn't quite make it to Thanksgiving, didn't quite make it to Christmas, maybe it'd make it into spring break, something like that. But if that ever happens, we're definitely going to have to make a trip down there. Mavs step back takes over Miami. That'd be hilarious.
We'll have to get some Miami Vice style shirts.
So the Mavs, like I said, they improved to 10-8 on the season. Out of those 8 losses, DJ, 7 of them have been by single digits, and 4 of them have been by single possessions. They have some of the most heartbreaking losses in the league right now. Like they're a much better team than what this 8-10 record, shows. But the numbers are the numbers. You are what you are, as they say. So the Mavs are still sitting in that 9th spot in the West, but it's still so early. You can't really put much stock into that, because if you look at the West, the West is so crowded. The Mavs are only 3 games back of the top seed.
Yep.
3 games back. You have a couple good weeks stringing some wins together, and you have a chance to be up near the top of the West again. So
that's how tight everything is.
It's crazy. The West is unbelievable right now. Let's see. Even going down to the play-in, past the play-in. So the 11th, 12th. So even if you go down to 12th in the West, where the Sacramento Kings are, there are 4.5 games separating 1 through 12 in the West. That's crazy. That is insane.
Insanity.
And look, just by comparison, if the Mavs were in the East, they would be battling. They'd be in like that 4th, 5th seed spot right now. Mm-hmm. So, if you took the map of the United States and you split it exactly down the middle, the Mavs would technically be on the eastern side of it. So, Adam Silver, what are we doing here? Come on.
Honestly, I think we need to just abolish the whole Eastern Conference, Western Conference thing and just put the best, however many teams in the playoffs.
And I think they're thinking about doing that. There was a report that came out here recently that said, they were considering doing that. And I'd be for it.
Yeah.
Now, I really don't know how that would help. The Mavs standing, they'd probably stay kind of where they are overall. But, you'd have all the West teams making the playoffs and just a few select East teams, because that top tier, Cleveland, Boston, Orlando, and then maybe New York, they've kind of disappointed so far early this season based on their high expectations, but that's really it for the East. Everything else is like, eh. And then
about Cleveland, man. What in the hell is going on over there?
17-1, and the only loss was a single-digit loss to the Boston Celtics.
Yeah, then that could have gone either way too. Like, good Lord.
And it was in Boston. That's crazy. I don't know. Donovan Mitchell's going off. They have a 12.3 point differential through 18 games. They're incredible. So, And look, they were incredible last year too before they ended up enduring some injuries.
Mm-hmm.
But look, they've all played great. And look, that one game they lost to Boston too. Darius Garland ended up shooting. I think he was like 6 of 24 or something crazy like that from the field. So it is what it is. But yeah, they've been fantastic. One other random NBA note. It's not Mavs related, but Elfrid Payton. That's a name we haven't heard in a long time. He's been bouncing around the G League and um, in and out of the league and the G League and all that. Well, the New Orleans Pelicans signed him to a contract like 5 days ago, and he came out tonight and had 14 points and 21 assists against the Indiana Pacers.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
just
guessing Howard didn't play any defense. He's
that's
not
kind of
showing it, seriously.
that's kind of a Rick Carlisle staple. I mean, as good as Rick Carlisle is, defense was not one of his strong suits when he was in Dallas. So, but yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Elfrid Payton, pretty much off the street just a few days ago, he comes in and nearly pulls an upset. The Pelicans, they've been so injury
Yeah.
plagued this season. They're 4-14 now in the year, and they ended up losing this game against the Pacers 114 to 110. But yeah, Payton had 14 points, 7 rebounds, 21 assists, and 2 steals, shot 7 of 11 in 31 minutes. That's crazy.
21-2 assist to turnover ratio is like God tier. That's crazy.
21 assists in 31 minutes. That
Jesus.
that is efficient work.
I mean, he's really zipping it in there, man. No, I feel bad for the Pels, dude, because I mean, I really think, and I said this on whenever we played them last, I really think that they'd be a much better team if they had all their people. I really think that, their talent level is, I mean, it's comparable to, the rest of the Western Conference, but I really think that Zion is leaving a bitter taste in their mouths, and it would not surprise me if he gets moved. It really would.
I don't know what's going on there. I mean, it's he's posting videos about getting new tattoos while he's supposedly injured, and he's injured all the time.
All the time.
I don't know. I get the sense, I don't know this for sure, but I know a lot of people who are Pelicans fans because of, I live an hour and a half away from New Orleans, but I get the sense that a lot of people are getting tired of the Zion experience. So I'm with you. I would not be shocked if he did end up getting moved. I saw some betting odds earlier this season, like a week or so ago, showing that, the Lakers had the top odds if they ended up trading him. And how ironic would that be? It's like every time the Pelicans have a star that doesn't work out, gets end up traded to Los Angeles.
Yep.
Chris Paul was going to go to the Lakers until David Stern axed it, and then he ended up going to the Clippers instead. Then you had Anthony Davis going to the Lakers, and that'd be something if Zion Williamson followed suit there. But
on the flip side, you had Brandon Ingram go from LA to the Pelicans. Of course, he was in that Anthony Davis trade, I'm pretty sure, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was, with Lonzo Ball and Josh Hart and that whole crew.
Jesus.
Julius Randle.
Yeah.
So,
honestly pretty solid.
And by the way, speaking of top tier teams in the East, I mentioned I said New York was teetering there. Well, they're currently blowing the Nuggets out right now, 130 to 109 with about a little less than 5 minutes left in that game. So that's who the Mavs will play next, is Jalen Brunson, old friend Jalen Brunson, and the New York Knicks right before Thanksgiving. So,
oh boy,
we'll see how that game goes.
I'm already predicting a Jalen Brunson 30 piece. It's coming. He's just got it out for us, but
I don't know. I mean, the Mavs are playing so good. Look, the Mavs have had the Knicks number since Jalen Brunson joined the Knicks. I don't know what it is, but it seemed like Julius Randle always killed the Mavs. and now he's obviously not there anymore. He went to the Minnesota Timberwolves, and now Karl Anthony Towns is on the Knicks. But it seemed like that was always the curse for the Mavs when they played the Knicks. Julius Randle just killed them. And then ever since Jalen Brunson joined the Knicks, for whatever reason, the Mavs have had the Knicks number. So we'll take what we can get.
Yeah.
But we'll be on Wednesday night, pre-Thanksgiving, to recap what all happens in that New York game. And then, Thursday and Friday, we are going to take a much-needed rest and enjoy all the food and festivities of Thanksgiving. And then also before that Knicks game, DJ here is going to join the Knicks Film School, which is also part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network, to do a game preview. So y'all be sure to go check out that as well. But guys, look, we appreciate y'all coming in and listening to us every single time. Be sure to go like, rate, and subscribe on all your favorite podcast platforms, and hit that subscribe button, especially on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. And be sure to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. It only takes a few seconds to leave a review on Apple Podcasts, and it automatically enters you for a chance to win future giveaways. So it is a no-lose situation for you. You get to tell people how much you love Mavs Step Back and come in here and listen to us, and you get entered for future giveaways. So be sure to go do that, y'all. But yeah, we appreciate it. Y'all have a great rest of your Monday and great rest of your week, and we'll be back on here Wednesday to talk Mavs next. Y'all have a good one.